But big news, obviously, today, a monumental day in our nation's history, a monumental shift in our nation's history. And for a lot of people, the boogeyman is gone, because breaking news as we roll on live on the Cam Show here just after noon Eastern time on Monday, Scott Peters, the Patriots offensive line coach, is taking the same position with the Cincinnati Bengals. You might be wondering, why and how someone could hire this awful man and put him in a position of power again. And I'm wondering the same thing. This Patriots offensive line, really? Ranked 32nd in the league, and they would rank them 33rd if they could. In fact, I think that would have been a good kind of thing to do for PFF. Like the standard of the top 32 is that, hey, these guys are professionals. They should be playing in the highest level of football. Nobody on the Patriots offensive line, at no point this year did you say, yeah, those guys are real NFL football players. So I think they should have had, like how there's always kind of like an empty chair at a wake. They should have done that at position 32. 31, I think, was the Saints. Free space. 33, honorable mention, also receiving votes for the NFL, New England Patriots offensive line. And the Bengals turned around and hired that guy. And they have a quarterback. They have like a franchise, bona fide, like top 5 quarterback in the league. And they're like, we don't care about you. We do not care about your health, your safety, your well-being whatsoever. We're going to have this guy, Scott Peters, coach up the guys in front of you, the guys blocking for you. Scott Peters sounds like a South Park character. Okay, that's exactly what he sounds like a one-off South Park character, 6th grader who bullies the kids, bullies the fourthies. That's what Scott Peters sounds like. My God, I thought that report a couple weeks ago was hilarious of the Bengals targeting DeMarcus Covington to be their DC, because like the one real good defensive performance the Patriots had, well, the Bears game was pretty good too, was that week 1 game against Cincinnati. And so they're probably like, yeah, remember that? Sure, we don't need to watch film about anything else the rest of the season. Let's go get him. Trey Hendrickson only had 2 sacks week 1. Maybe their offensive line's actually good. Maybe the rest of the games were an aberration. This one game was where they showed their true colors, week 1. That's the one they had Chooks Okora for. So we get Scott Peters and we get Chooks in here, and we're back, baby. We're going back to the Super Bowl. I don't get it. I think it's really dumb. But I saw that news literally as we were counting the countdown. The countdown was like under a minute to go for this show, and it just floored me. 32nd ranked offensive line in football, and genuinely, like, I wouldn't say I obviously haven't watched as much football as Bill Parcells or anything, but watching this league for 20 years, in college for 20 years, I've never seen an offensive line as bad as what the Patriots pulled out for a whole season. Just horrible. No technique, no football IQ, nothing. And maybe you could say, hey, Scott Peters had nothing to work with. And you know what? That's true to an extent. I think that is still how you measure coaches in this league, whether it's fair or not. And maybe it's the bias that, like, hey, Patriots fans can only compare it to Dante Scarnecchia, who's a Hall of Famer. And he could work with anything, and he really could. But it's just a wild move, I think, from Cincinnati, hiring Scott Peters to be their offensive line coach. They saw that line with Vadarian Lowe and DeMontre Jacobs and Layden Robinson, and they saw a team that must have set the NFL record for having 2 penalties on one play and still giving up a sack. I think they did that like 3 or 4 times this year. And they said, that's the guy we want in here. We want that rubbing off on our team. Like, genuinely, bro, you can elevate your slappies and be like, hey, offensive line coach now. And that's just as good. That's just as sure a thing as Scott Peters is coming off the 2024 Patriots. Like, can you just eliminate that from your resume? Like, sometimes when I'm applying for jobs, I just, I'll scrape off something. If I'm applying to a regular job that's not sports media, I might only include like one of my shows that I've done in there, or vice versa. Like, if I'm applying for another show, I'm not going to put my college admissions jobs on there. I'm just going to put my radio shows. Like, do you think Scott Peters just doesn't put 2024? Because if we're being honest, I didn't know he was the Patriots offensive line coach this year. There's so many other guys to be mad at the Patriots. I didn't know the offensive line coach was. He wasn't the head coach, wasn't the OC, wasn't the one dating the reporter. So I don't know who Scott Peters is. So you think it just goes up to 2023 and they have to ask him in the interview, like, what's the gap in your work history? Oh, I was thinking about, I was doing some consulting on the side. I was the assistant offensive line coach for the Browns for the last 3 years. Nothing else. 2-time first team all Pac-10 at Arizona State. How about that? 2-time. Played in the league for 7 years. Made it to a Super Bowl, it appears. Did not win one. You hate to see that. Did not win one, but apparently his last year with the Cardinals, he would have played in the Super Bowl. That was 2008. Yep. And then coached Cleveland for 4 seasons as the assistant offensive line coach. So part of that glorious Alex Van Pelt tree, and skips a year, at least on his resume. And now he's with the Bengals. Good luck, Cincinnati. Good luck, Joe Burrow. Have fun with that.